Hi guys, I am Roranoa. This video is about What If Goku Was a Girl Part 2. Please subscribe, like and share Roranoa TV for more fanfiction crossover videos. Early the next morning, Vegeta walks through the living room, intent on heading to the gravity room, even though his whole entire body is still aching with his near death by electrocution last night. Tremors of pain rivet through his body as he walks across the carpet, so he's too distracted to really notice what's going on around him. Good morning, Veg. The OG turns his head in the direction of the couch and sees Goku reading a book, not really looking towards him. He frowns, walking towards the female Saiyajin. I didn't know you could read. Goku smiles at him good-naturedly, and Vegeta can really see that they're back on good terms, or at least normal terms. Well, I guess I don't do it as much as I should. But now I can, she adds darkly, since I'm banned from sparring. Oh, by the way, thanks for the boots. She wiggles her toes inside the Saiyajin boots that Vegeta had given her the night before and grins. They're surprising more comfy than I thought they would be. Vegeta sweet drops, sure. He decides to postpone the training for now. He'd probably pass out under 100 Gs in his present condition anyway. Slowly, and very gently, the OG seats himself onto the couch. Wincing as he puts his tender bottom on the cushions, he curses, out of all the parts that got zapped the most it just had to be my ass. The OG looks at Goku once again, only to his surprise sees that she's turned back to her book. Frowning, he was kind of hoping for some more attention from her. However, not being the talkative kind, he just sits there humming to himself, while Goku concentrates on her book. Just sitting, and waiting, and sitting, and waiting. Finally, Vegeta just can't take it anymore. So what are you reading anyway? Without looking up from the book, Goku answers, The Prince and the Pauper. Vegeta smirks, I didn't know you were interested in such subjects. Goku puts the book down and says, well, it's not exactly what you might think. Actually, it's about how a prince and a peasant switch places and see what each other's lives are like. I haven't really gotten through the whole thing, but I bet that it ends with both of them going back to their old lives and appreciating what they have. Vegeta's eyes widen as she tells him all this through such an intelligent manner. Cammy, she's seriously freaking me out. Were you always like this? The younger Saiyajin asks innocently, was I always like what? You're being smart. Is it because you're an Ona now or what? Goku shrugs, I was always like this. The OG frowns, then why didn't you act like it before? At this, the female Saiyajin gives him a mysterious smile, maybe I was just pretending to be dumb. You know, so people don't freak out. Vegeta stares at her in shock. He never really expected something like this from her. He really didn't. He studies her carefully, to see if there's anything else that she's hiding about herself. Goku sighs wistfully and says, it'd be nice to know what it's like to be a prince. Shaken out of his trance, Vegeta blinks at her statement, but then smirks and says playfully, don't you mean a princess? Goku pouts, no, prince. The OG leans back into his seat and shrugs, too bad. I could have made you a princess. But he regrets making the statement. The female Saiyajin's eyes widen, and she says excitedly, really? Oh, Veggie, make me a princess. Vegeta yelps, what? Why? Goku says eagerly, unable to wipe the huge grin off her face, well, I'll be a princess when I'm an Ona. But when I turn back then I'll be a prince. Besides you said you could. Not really wanting to be rid of one of the only factors that makes him superior to the third-class Saiyajin, Vegeta replies angrily, no way. Just because I can doesn't mean I will. Goku narrows her eyes at him suspiciously, is it because you don't want to lose your only subject? The OG says dejectedly, well, kinda. Veggie. But that's not it. Because if I were to, perform the ritual, which I can't imagine you agreeing to in the first place, you wouldn't be just a princess, you'd be my princess. Goku blinks, huh. Vegeta yells, we'd be mated, you baka. And I'm not just going to do something like that with you just at your whim. Smiling slyly, the younger Saiyajin asks, so, does that make Bull-chan your princess? Immediately, the OG starts to feel uncomfortable, well, no. Goku frowns in confusion, why not? Vegeta nervously taps his fingers together, I didn't exactly go through the whole process with her. The other part would have killed her. His companion says in a consoling manner, well, that's okay, Veg. I didn't do everything that I was supposed to with Chi-Chi either. Her eyebrows quirk up in thought, at least I think so. Unless my instincts are lying to me. At this profound statement, Vegeta's eyes widen, and he says quietly, you haven't mated her completely either. Goku shakes her head, nope. Meanwhile, up in the heavens, Bardock opens up his laptop, just in time to see Vegeta on the couch with his daughter, alone in the capsule core living room. His eyes widen when he sees the scene and he says quietly, "What the?" The OG scooches closer to Goku and leans into her, so, in the Saiyajin sense, we're both free. Feeling uncomfortable, Goku scooches away from the daisy-eyed Saiyajin no OG, in the ninja sense we're not. All rational thought leaves Bardock's mind as he watches Goku's sense of comfort being violated by the little OG, and he blasts into SSJ mode. He screams at his laptop, "Why you little piece of didn't you learn your lesson?" He warms up his hands getting ready to fire down on the little Saiyajin no OG once again. Vegeta replies, "But we're both Saiyajin." As he leans closer to her face, until they're nose to nose, Goku sees the OG's eyes shine with something that Goku can't identify, and she's not sure if she wants to. "But we're on Earth." Goku pleads desperately, "What are you trying to get at?" The OG smirks. Suddenly a huge bolt of lightning comes out of nowhere and electrifies Vegeta, taking out half the couch with it. Goku shrieks, and jumps away from the danger. Vegeta survives it, however, even though he's nearly fried to a crisp. Burn marks scorch his body, his hair sticking out in more directions than usual, and all his clothes are incinerated, except for the top of his pants, making convenient shorts covering all the necessary areas. Leave it to Bardock to make sure of that little detail. Looking up in alarm, Goku yelps, "Holy frick. What was that?" her eyes darting all over the peach ceiling. Vegeta coughs up a puff of black smoke and croaks, "Just a healthy reminder." "Excuse me." He gets up from the couch and goes to wall to pound his head against, his body twitching from extra static every so once in a while. And Goku continues to search the ceiling, too preoccupied to continue reading her book. Vegeta stays away from Goku for the rest of the day. Early the next day, while waiting for the time his devil companion would show up at their usual hideout, Bardock smirks in his sleep, having a very good dream about blowing the OG to bits. His internal alarm clock goes off and he slowly opens his eyes, yawning and stretching, including a couple exercises with his feathery wings. He didn't use them often, so he has to work them every morning. During his little morning stretch, the angel smiles to himself, still in a good mood from his dream, or prophecy as he liked to call it. "That had to be one of my best ones yet. Who knew the little OG can be such good target practice?" Suddenly he hears, "Oi! Anyone here?" Bardock glances at his watch and mutters, "He's here early." He looks over at the corner of King Enma's palace and sees the shadow of the former Saiyajin no OU, coming his way. Bardock smiles, "Hey, Beats, what's up?" Vegeta's head peeks around the corner and it has a look of nervousness on it. Hey Barudoko-san." At once Bardock can tell something's up. He mouths, "Okay, what did you do now?" His devil friend grins sheepishly, and mouths back, "I kind of brought a visitor." Then that when Ruby comes around the corner, "Vegeta, is this where you always come?" She turns and sees the third-class Saiyajin angel and smiles warmly, "Oh hello, there. You must be Bardock. Celipa's told me all about you." Bardock smiles and bows before Ruby respectfully, "It is a pleasure meeting you, Your Majesty." The Queen smiles, "Well, aren't you sweet? It's so rare meeting courteous Saiyajin," giving a small glare to her mate. But she turns back to Bardock smiling, "But then again you are an angel. You don't mind if I stay here, do you?" The angel shakes his head, "Of course not, Your Highness. Feel free to explore the area." Ruby looks at the empty space under the shadow of the palace and frowns, "Right. I'll just go and set up my stuff over near the other corner of the palace, if it's all right with you. I don't want to intrude on your little club." She grins and brings her bag of things that Bardock failed to notice before and heads over about 200 feet away at the opposite end of the palace. Once her back is turned, Bardock grabs Vegeta by the collar and demands, "What the heck is she doing here?" Vegeta yells, "Hey, let me go, right now." The angel grudgingly lets go of the OU and sits down on the fluffy ground, obviously very irritated. Vegeta huffs, "Come on, you're acting like a ninja child who's just lost his clubhouse to a girl." Bardock glares up at him, and Vegeta stutters, Well, obviously, you'd feel that way, huh?" The angel demands, "Do you have any idea how long it took me to find this hiding spot?" Vegeta frowns, 15 years. 15 years of searching the other world from up to bottom for at least a little bit of privacy and I lose it in a day." The devil OU rolls his eyes, "It's not that big a deal. It's only one person." The angel sighs in defeat and lets his wings and tail sag. He says dismally, "Why?" Vegeta scratches the back of his head and says, "Well, you see. She said that she'd help bring our kids together. But she needs a place to perform the spells that are necessary, and well, I decided to bring her here. Bardock stares at the former OU and says weakly, you mean she's here to bring Vegeta, the perverted OG, and Kakarot, my innocent, naive daughter, together? His companion replies, shrugging, well, she's just encouraging them. The angel mutters, as if that hentai needs encouragement. Vegeta asks, what was that? Nothing. Ruby waves to them from across the shadow, okay boys. I'm ready. The two Saiyajins give up their little discussion, so that they can watch the Saiyajin Queen perform the spells. Vegeta to try and learn something from it. Bardock to make sure she doesn't sew anything too drastic. About half an hour later, Goku moans and wakes up at an ungodly hour in her large queen-sized bed. The sound of several voices yelling in the hallway. Curious, she puts off her usual morning stretch to see what the heck's going on. Popping her head out into the hallway, the Saiyajin sees Mirai carrying several bags out into the hallway, while Bulma is encapsulating them and yelling at Vegeta in a bitter spat at the same time. Still in his pajamas, although much more alert than he would be at this hour, Vegeta demands, what do you mean a conference? How come we haven't heard of this before? The blue-haired scientist says irritably, I told you, my dad got sick last night. I have to go and replace him as the speaker. I have no choice. But you don't seem to get the concept of that, do you, you little? An obviously annoyed Mirai decides to make a little input in the discussion as well. That's all well and good, Mom, but why do Chibi and I have to go with you? Bulma sighs, massaging her temples with her hands. I need someone to help me present and I tutor Trunks, remember? But Mom, his mother says sharply, no buts. Honestly, I thought you were more responsible than this. She points down the hall and orders, now go get your brother. We're leaving right away. Mirai sighs, shaking his head, and goes to fetch Trunks. Goku says in wonder, are Veggie and I going to be alone? The OG stiffens at the sound of her voice, and that's when Bulma notices that her friend is awake. She says cheerfully, oh good morning, Sun-kun. Yeah, you two are going to have the place all to yourselves. But don't worry about food. There's enough stores to keep a whole army full for 2 years. Besides, she adds with a roll of her eyes, His Almighty Highness can cook for you too. Goku just stares at Bulma blankly. Vegeta turns red at the comment and yells vehemently, why the hell did you have to tell her that? Bulma smirks, it's going to be a very hard secret to keep since you're going to have to do it for nearly a month. Vegeta nearly shrieks, a month. The scientist nods in amusement, yup, I have to stay at the conference the whole time. But then that'll mean Goku'll be back to a guy by the time I come back. Goku's eyes widen, Veggie can cook. Both Bulma and Vegeta sweat drop. Just then Mirai comes back with a sleepy Trunks in tow still wearing his rocket pajamas. Trunks mumbles groggily, where are we going? Bulma takes a hold of his hand and begins leading him to the garage, I'll explain it to you on the way there. She calls back over her shoulder, have fun you too. And I better not find this place in shambles when I come back. Mirai waves to them before following his mother. The two Saiyajins hear the garage door close and the sound of the capsule core hover jet taking off, finally signaling that they're truly alone. They turn to look at each other and Goku says, you can cook. Ruby smiles with satisfaction as she watches the result of her spell workings through Vegeta's crystal ball, I knew that it would work. Alongside her Vegeta and Bardock are also watching the events of the mortal world. Frowning, Vegeta lowers his head to the ball, seemingly trying to search for something in it. He looks up at his mate and says, I don't get it. They aren't all over each other yet. Why aren't the moonbeam charms working? The queen frowns in annoyance, how can you claim to know incanti if you don't even know moonbeam spells? Vegeta rolls his eyes, well excuse me if I don't know all the mushy named spells. Suddenly Bardock says, trying to stop the argument before it starts, it only works at night. Besides there's no moon yet. The spell will start to show more when the full moon is approaching and that's when it reaches its peak. The devil OU yelps, the full moon. Bardock, that's only the night before their confounded Dragon Balls are ready. Inwardly smirking, Bardock replies, well, I suppose those two are going to have to get together on their own, aren't they? Like regular mates. Ruby suddenly says, if you haven't noticed, they aren't regular, Bardock, earning an unknown glare from the unruly-haired angel. She gets up and wipes the bits of cloud that stuck to her skirt off and starts picking up her things, well, I better get back to the hall. I heard that the ogres are planning on having another picnic. She smiles at the two Saiyajins and says, I'll see you boys later. Bardock gets up and bows, good day your majesty. Nodding with content, Ruby smiles and turns the corner of the palace and leaves the way that she came. After her leave, Bardock slowly turns to glare at his companion. See you later. Vegeta smiles nervously. Maybe she means when you get demoted and go down to hell. The angel regards him in silence for a long while, and then finally says, you didn't tell her I wanted to go to hell, did you? It was more of a demand than a question. The former OU sighs, and says quietly, no. Bardock blasts into SSJ mode and screams, I'm going to kill you. Vegeta shrieks and goes racing as far away from the angel as he possibly can, except that Bardock is in hot pursuit. You won't get away that easily. Meanwhile, inside of King Enma's palace, the red giant sighs as he finishes judging his who-knows numbered spirit and passes it down into hell. It's a record. For the last 3 days, every single one of the souls has been sent to hell. He sighs, what's the world coming to? Next. Suddenly he feels a huge gush of air, knocking everything in the room to the side of the room, even King Enma himself. Enma picks himself off the floor quick enough to see 2 humongous clouds of dust going away into the distance. He says in disbelief, what the heck was that? Drumming his fingers on his desk, Quapac, the fuzzball angel from the southern quadrant and one of Bardock's very few friends in the high-class angel headquarters, sighs, his eyes darting up and down the page of his computer. He doesn't know how, but somehow he's been assigned to the impossible task, along with many other of the elite scientists, of deciphering the complex spell that had turned one of the last Saiyajins alive into an Ona. His eyes glaze over as he goes off into wandering thoughts, watching the creamy ceiling swirling as if it was made of clouds. Oh wait a sec, it is made of clouds. Quapac. The angel snaps out of his daydreams and yelps, I'm awake. I'm awake. He looks up from his desk and sees a white blonde-haired angel glaring down at him, brandishing his wings angrily. Quapac smiles, oh hello, Willith. Willith glares down at him and scowls, sleeping on the job are we? Quapac turns red with embarrassment, sorry sir. Turning back to his computer screen he begins studying the 5D model of the spell cast with a whole new vigor. The higher angel smirks with satisfaction and his eyes glance over the other angels under his supervision. Quapac shyly looks up from his work and says quietly, Willith sir, no offense, but wouldn't it be better for Bardock to be helping with this study? I mean he is a genius. I know, the angel snaps irritably. He crosses his arms and huffs, I also know that he is the poorest excuse of an angel that I've ever seen in my afterlife. He'd mess up this operation just for the fun of it. He clenches his fists until his knuckles turn white, I wish that he would. Then I'd see the pleasure of seeing him to be damned to hell for all eternity. Quapac glances up and mutters under his breath, I think he'd like that too. Willith's head snaps over to the fuzzy angel's direction and demands, what was that? The lower angel's eyes widen in fright but before he can say anything another angel, a blue-skinned and even deeper blue-haired angel makes his way in their direction and calls out, Willith, we have a preliminary analysis on the structure of the spell. The blonde angel glares at Quapac and growls, we'll finish this later. He turns his attention to the blue angel and asks, so what do you have? Glancing over the notes, the angel answers, well, there seem to be some familiar traces of some of Merlin and Gracopodes' enchantments. But it's bouncing all over the place from karma notations to Shiva's destruction spells and even Santa Claus's invisibility charms. We should call it 1,000 spells, not just one. But the most disconcerting thing is that this spell's foundation is something that isn't in our data records at all. It's completely unpredictable. Some of the spells that we know are inactive at times until the base of the spell changes its structure and switches the spells. It usually happens when we're trying to really delve into the base of the spell. It's very extraordinary actually. It's as if Willith finishes quietly, it's covering its tracks. Growl Goku groans as her stomach begins to protest its lack of food. She sighs and goes to look for the OG, currently training in the GR. Cammy, eating only eggs all the time is going to kill me. But I only know how to make breakfast. If only Veggie would actually cook for me once in a while. She reaches the GR and bangs on the door, hey Veggie. You in there? A gruff voice answers, yes. What do you want? The younger Saiyajin asks, do you want to spar with me? The whirring of the GR goes down as the metal door opens and Vegeta's head pops out. Goku smiles serenely, wearing the GI that he had gotten for her, including the OG boots, her ebony hair tied up into a sleek ponytail. The warm rays of light reflect off of the metal exterior onto Goku, making her seem to glow. A large lump forms in his throat and a blush line crosses his cheeks. He thanks Kami his face was hot enough from training to cover it up. He coughs and says, well, I'm not sure that's such a good idea. Goku frowns in confusion, why? Too much body contact. Vegeta sighs, look you're just. The younger Saiyajin narrows her eyes and demands, you aren't afraid of hurting me are you? Vegeta yelps, what? Why would you say something like that? Goku smirks playfully, maybe cause I'm a girl now. But I bet I can still kick your butt. You cannot. She sticks out her tongue and grins, can so. Vegeta growls, I'll show you. He immediately charges at Goku, readying himself to do a powerful punch. The younger Saiyajin laughs and easily dodges it, then puts a hand on Vegeta's shoulder, teleporting them both to a secluded mountain area. Vegeta shrugs her off and takes an offensive stance, smirking, you're serious, aren't you? An excited grin answers him and Goku also takes an offensive stance. Ow! A scream rings out of the valley as Vegeta slams Goku into a mountainside, reducing it to rubble. The OG smirks but a huge ki attack comes out of the rock aimed straight at him. He knocks it out of the way but then Goku suddenly flashes behind him and smashes both her hands over his head, sending him flying. Vegeta stops himself in midair and flips around to face Goku once again, rubbing his hand over the place that she had just hit. Kuso, that's going to be a big bump. Slightly panting for breath, he observes the other fighter, noting her deeper breaths and heavier sweating. His eyes widen in surprise, is she actually lagging behind? He decides to test it out. Putting on a smirk, Vegeta says haughtily, come on, Kakaroto. You can do better than that. Or am I really getting too tough for you? Goku smiles, we'll see about that. She starts up her trademark move, Kami. Meanwhile Vegeta starts up his own, Final, Ha-Mi, Flash. Ha! Two ki blasts erupt from their hands, soaring directly at each other, until they impact. Equal in ki, they balance out, forming two large hemispheres, striving to overpower the other. Vegeta yells, I'll show you. He pours more energy into his attack and his opponent does the same. The entire area is tinted with bluish-white as they fight to subdue each other. The hemispheres grow bigger and the enormous energy from the blasts causes the earth below them to crack and crumble. The OG watches his opponent straining to keep up and thinks, alright. Time to end this. He exerts an extra burst of energy and his attack swallows Goku's and heads straight at her. She barely manages to dodge it and it explodes against the side of a mountain, the impact blowing her away as well. Vegeta catches her before she flies against another mountain and shields them both from the second wave. Finally, when the energy disperses and the dust settles, the area is reduced to nothing but a barren crater. The small figure in his arms shifts uncomfortably and grasps him with small delicate fingers. A wave of guilt washes over the OG. It seems such a crime to hurt someone so beautiful. He flushes with embarrassment, but then Goku speaks up, looks like we kind of overdid it, her eyes surveying the area. Still unnerved by his thoughts, Vegeta says slowly, yeah, I suppose so. Since when did I ever worry about delicacy? Goku suddenly smiles brightly, well, congratulations. Looks like you beat me. The OG blinks in surprise, I did. And the realization fully hits him. His eyes widen in excitement and a large grin lights up his face, aha. I did. I beat you. The fact he just beat a girl completely escapes his mind. He whoops elatedly, I beat you. I can't believe it. He immediately hardens at the awareness of acting so childish and coughs, well, of course I beat you. I'm your OG. Goku laughs, but Vegeta adds almost grudgingly, but I had to admit, you were really off in this fight. The younger Saiyajin sighs, yeah, I know. I think the transformation must have taken away some of my strength. Vegeta smirks, well, that just means you have to be the one training to keep up this time. Goku smiles, that's alright. I need a challenge. Besides, it's only temporary. At this, her sparring partner slowly stops smirking, a small ruffle of disappointment weighing him down. Oblivious, Goku says, you can let go. I think I can fly back. He nods and lets her go, and they gradually fly their way back to Capsule Core. Bardock watches his laptop screen carefully, making sure the OG isn't making any pass at his daughter, whatsoever. Satisfied, he closes the laptop and it disappears with a snap of his fingers. The shadow of King Enma's palace begins to wane as the light source slowly orbits the world. The angel glances at his watch, wondering what's taking the OU so long. He hears two voices hissing at each other quietly from around the corner and stiffens, turning himself invisible. Vegeta peeks around the corner and frowns, seeing no one there. He walks into the shadowed area and mutters, that's odd, he's always so early. I'm right here. The OU turns around and shrieks. He demands, where were you? Bardock smirks, I was invisible. At the devil's questioning glance the angel says, it's a trick I learned. Vegeta says intelligently, ah. Looking around, the angel suddenly frowns, so exactly to whom did the other voice belong to? The devil OU says nervously, Barudoko-san. Bardock groans, his wings automatically sagging, what the hell did you do now? Vegeta laughs, the edgy tone still evident, well, it's not, to whom did the other voice belong to, it's, to whom did the other voices belong to? At once, Bardock jerks, clutching at his chest, and whispers hoarsely, oh Cammy, I think I'm going to have a cardiac arrest. Vegeta turns red, oh come on. It's not that bad. However Bardock is already on his knees, crying out in pain. The OU protests, hey. At least you know her. Immediately, the angel stops his foolery and blinks in confusion, her. His friend nods, smirking, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. He turns back at the corner and yells, you two can come out now. But as the two figures walk past the edge of the building, the angel turns as white as a sheet, his black hair and brown tail becoming incomprehensibly more pronounced in his already colorless garments. One of the figures is Ruby, adorned in a rich green velvet dress, suitable for only royalty. She smiles at Bardock warmly, although there is still a regal air to it, much like the type of smirks that the OU would give him. However, she is not the one making the angel quake in his boots. The other person is a medium-built Saiyajin female with short-cropped jet black hair and a very haughty manner. Her battle armor is much different from the queen's attire and is fairly evident of her former, lower status in life. Nonetheless, Bardock knows for a fact that she is close friends with the queen, an alliance that is most oftentimes used against him to get what that female wants. The angel gulps and says weakly, waving to the lower-ranked female, hello Celipa. The female Saiyajin's eye twitches and she says slowly, hello Celipra. At the dangerous tone, Bardock automatically takes a step back away from her. But she just advances on him in turn, seething with rage, is that all you have to say to me after nearly 40 years of being apart? Bardock pleads, honey, please. I can explain. Celipra continues to press onto him, you didn't even bother to visit me down in hell. But Chelly, I was in heaven. The OU turns to his mate and says, I thought you said that she wanted to see him. Or call. I thought that once they installed that interdimension phone line you'd at least call me once in a while. But I didn't mean, Ruby smiles in amusement, she does, but just for different reasons. Just because you're up in heaven and I'm in hell doesn't mean you can be so high and mighty that you can't even see me once in a while. Chelly, please calm down. It's not really that big a deal. Calm down. You want me to calm down. Vegeta groans in defeat, he is definitely going to kill me later, as the two royals watch Bardock vainly attempt to reason with his hysterical mate. Goku sullenly watches the tube, depressed from her 5th loss in a row. She knows that she shouldn't, that it was Vegeta's time to shine, but still, it's just irritating. She just couldn't fight like she used to. A stab of hunger pangs her in the stomach, and she clutches at it in pain. She moans, Cammy, if only I could get some real food. But that means either eggs, sick of that, pancakes, sick of that too, or rice pudding, which I am getting sick of fairly quickly. If this keeps up I won't be able to eat breakfast anymore for the rest of my life. The sound of padding feet catches her attention and she turns her attention from her stomach to the figure coming up behind the couch. Goku looks back at the TV again, ignoring the annoying internal pains, I haven't healed from our last fight yet. Vegeta humps, I'm not planning on fighting you today. He plops down onto the couch next to her and smirks mischievously, I'm going to retrain you. Goku's head snaps back and yelps, what? The OG says smugly, I believe that you heard me. The younger Saiyajin stammers, but my style works best, for your old body. You don't have the edge in battle that you used to because your brute strength is gone. So you have to learn to rely on your other, edges. Goku frowns in confusion, you mean these, pointing to her chest. Vegeta blushes furiously, no. Of course not. I mean like speed and agility. With a smaller frame you should have the same compensation that I do. Goku says, oh, so I can copy you. The OG yelps, what? No, you can't. This is not going the way he wants it to. He continues, Ma Ling Fo Qua has been passed down to me from generation to generation of the royal house of Vegeta Say. Only royalty is allowed to use it. The other Saiyajin frowns, Ma Ling Fo Qua. What does that mean? Crossing his arms, Vegeta answers smugly, royal butt whoopin' style. Goku blinks and stares at him blankly, but suddenly bursts into uproarious laughter. Ticked off at not getting what's so funny, the OG yells, "What? Royal butt whoopin' style. That's the vocabulary that kings use. Ha ha." Vegeta turns beet red and demands, "Well, what's it supposed to be called?" Taking him seriously, Goku stifles her laughter into a small grin and a couple chuckles to think of a good name. She smiles as an idea pops into her head and says enthusiastically, "How about mosquito style?" The other face vaults, "What?" Excitedly, Goku nods, "Yeah. You're really small and fast and always dart around me in an annoying way." Vegeta says incredulously, "Annoying?" The younger Saiyajin grins, "Yeah, and like a mosquito, you take a punch at me, suck my blood, and I, with my great size and strength, am hardly affected." Demonstrating by flexing her feminine biceps. The corner of the OG's mouth twitches as he controls a laugh. Seems like Goku forgot that she's a girl now. Goku continues in her own eager fashion, frequently stressing her points with her body gestures. Then that's when I, like the giant humanoid to the mosquito, pull a finishing move on you that ends the match, squish you like the little insect that you are. Vegeta stops seeing the humor immediately. She just unintentionally insulted him. He glares at her in annoyance, only Kakarot can pull off something like that. He comments dryly, "I just adore your use of analogies," his voice dripping with sarcasm. Goku smiles, "Thank you," oblivious as always to the OG's cynicism. Quickly losing his patience, Vegeta demands, "Do you want to learn my style or not?" The other blinks in confusion, "But I thought that you didn't want me to." Vegeta points outside towards the GR and yells, "Just get over to the gravity room." It is yet another perfect day in the Angel's sector of heaven. The sun is shining. There's not a cloud in the sky. And the cherry blossoms are still in full bloom, never wilting from the sun or the lack of rain. And Bardock is once again cursing it as he walks up the blaringly white marble steps to the Angel headquarters. Cammy, damn it. What I would give for just one rainy day. He goes inside to the reception room and to his surprise sees that Quapac isn't there behind the desk. Confused, though he doesn't show it, the Angel goes to the substitute receptionist, a feline-like alien that he's never seen before. The Saiyajin asks, "Hey, what happened to the guy that was here before? You know, the really fuzzy brown, round one." Yellow eyes flick up to meet his and the receptionist says formally, "He's been recruited to a scientific team led by Willith. He won't be here for a while." She asks courteously, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" However, lost in his one thought, man, poor Quapac, he doesn't hear the words coming from her mouth. Once he realizes that she asked something, he shakes his head to clear it up, "Sorry. I came here to get my assignment, too." The feline angel opens up the registry and asks, "Name please." "Barudoko. First class." She mumbles, "All right," but then she suddenly does a double take. Barudoko. Staring at him intently, the angel says in disbelief, "You can't possibly be him." "Oh great, what rumors have been spreading about me now?" Bardock sighs, "Look, I'm Bardock, okay. The Saiyajin angel. Black sheep of my whole species and of heaven. Must I show you some ID?" The angel's eyes look behind the Saiyajin and widen when they see the furry brown appendage coming from the back of his robe. She says quickly, so quickly it seems to Bardock that she's frightened, "No, that's all right." She nervously fumbles down the registry and quips, "You must report to the platinum room to get your assignment." She slaps close the book and says tensely, "Please, have a nice day." "Please." Bardock raises an eyebrow at such strange behavior, but just shakes his head and starts towards the metallium corridors. Then another feline angel comes up to the receptionist and says in a hushed voice, "Philo. Was that who I thought it was?" Philo nods her head vigorously and whispers, "Yes. It's the Saiyajin abomination." She puts a hand to her chest and sighs, "Cammy, I was so scared. I thought that he was going to bite my head off." Her friend hisses, "Shish. Not so loud. Saiyajins are supposed to be able to hear a whisper hundreds of dregules away." Sighing, Bardock ruffles his hair with his hand, drearily walking down a sterile white corridor towards the platinum room. "Just great. This has to be the lowest I've ever been. Now everybody's afraid of me. I can't wait until I get out of here." Walking past a dark corridor, the Saiyajin suddenly hears a hushed, "Hey. Bardock." The angel turns in the direction of the whisper and glares into the dark hallway, "Who's there?" A little fuzzy brown hand comes out of the shadows and beckons him into it, "It's me. Come here." Bardock readily complies and hides in the shadow along with his friend, Quapac. "What is it? What's the matter?" Quapac says, "Look, people are getting awfully suspicious around here about you." The Saiyajin merely rolls his eyes, "Tell me about it." "No, that's not what I mean." Bardock frowns, his attention caught Quapac continues, Willith's starting to get funny ideas about you. He thinks that you turned that Saiyajin, what's his name, Kakarot. He thinks that you turned him into a girl. The Saiyajin's heart nearly stops in his chest and a great burst of excitement is threatening to erupt from his mind. Yes. People are finally suspecting me. However, the angel says as calmly as possible, that's really stupid of him. Quapac says urgently, well, he thinks that he can back it up. So you have to be extra careful about what you do around him and his lackeys, especially since. Bardock's eyes burrow into a frown, especially since what Quapac. The fuzzy alien says remorsefully, burying his round face into his small hands, oh Bardock. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. The Saiyajin angel says in alarm, what? What did you do? I told him, that you wanted to go to hell. Bardock says in disbelief, wah what? Sobbing, Quapac says, now he's going to get you. And he's going to get you any punishment but going down to hell. Even if you are guilty. He cries, I'm sorry. He cornered me and I didn't know what to do. He forced me to tell him how you always wanted to go down to hell with all the other Saiyajins. I'm sorry. Suddenly Bardock's knees feel weak and he stumbles against the wall to support himself. Oh Cammy, no. All my hopes. Gone down the drain. I'll never get out of here now. His friend shivers and sobs, I'm sorry. See, can you forgive me? Bardock looks down at the tiny outlining of the fuzzy alien and sighs, yeah. It's alright, I forgive you. That's what angels do. And it seems like I'm going to be one forever. About a minute later Bardock leaves the shadowed corridor and remorsefully continues his walk over to the platinum room, feeling like all his troubles just planted themselves on his shoulder and are painfully starting to wear him down. Unknown to him, a white blonde angel watches from a cracked open door. The blonde angel cackles evilly when he sees the mere shadow of the Bardock's former self. So it is true. Don't think I'm through with you yet. And he quietly closes the door. Meanwhile, after nearly an hour of listening Vegeta lecture and watching him demonstrate several positions of the Maling Fo Qua, Goku starts feeling the effects of absolute boredom. She tries to cover up a yawn, but the Oji notices her movement out of the corner of his eye. He straightens up from his current position and Goku asks innocently, why did you stop? Vegeta growls, I refuse to teach you if you aren't paying attention. I'm not doing this for my health. The younger Saiyajin says quickly, I'm sorry, Veggie. But I've seen you do this stuff in every single one of our fights. I practically memorized everything. Calmly, the Oji replies, show me. Goku blinks, okay. She pops up from the floor and begins performing several routines that she's seen a million times before. At first she's hesitant and does the moves very carefully, but then as she does it more, she becomes more confident and the moves flow better, until she's practically performing the moves as if she's done it her whole life. When she feels like she's done enough, she stops in front of Vegeta, grinning widely. But to her surprise the Oji just shakes his head in amusement, nope. You're getting it all wrong. His student yelps, what? But I just did what you saw. In fact you copied my technique perfectly. Good. The Oji's eyes narrow, but not good enough. You don't have the feel for it. The feel. Vegeta smirks, I'll show you. By sudden impulse he stands right behind her and slides his hands down her arms, ending by intertwining his fingers through hers. For reasons unknown to her, Goku feels a hot blush rise to her cheeks, glad that Vegeta can't see her face. Then, with the precision and ease of a master of his technique, the sensei guides the student's hands into the several positions that she was just performing earlier. During which, Vegeta whispers into her ear, can you feel it now, Kakarot? His warm breath nipping at her ear and making the hairs at the back of her neck rise with the nervous anticipation. Goku blushes even more, I definitely feel something. It's everything that makes a true Saiyajin. The love of the fight, the incentive for victory and domination. That's in every method used. But can you feel that other side too? He wills her body through more extensive moves, including shifting of the feet and position of the hips. Feeling the control that he has over her and feeling the heat of her body against his, Vegeta can't help but become more enthusiastic in his teaching. He hisses, lust, hatred, pride, and passion. Oh Cammy, you can never forget that. Can't you feel all the Saiyajin in you boiling up? Bubbling to the surface. Can't you feel it? Mesmerized by his voice, the different formations and movements turn into an intricate dance, expressing all of the emotions that the Oji described to her. But suddenly Goku feels so weak, her body nearly falling out from under her. She becomes too overwhelmed, the room starting to disappear in a dizzying pit. She whispers, stop. Vegeta almost doesn't hear her, what? Goku whispers even more urgently, Vegeta. Vegeta, stop it. Stop. The OG complies immediately and demands, what is it? What's wrong? She doesn't answer him as she sinks into his arms, falling into the subconscious. The darkness swarms her and the last thing that she hears is a faint voice screaming her name. Up in Ruby's office on the highest floor of her Saiyajin hall, she, Vegeta and Celipa watch the ooze crystal ball with worry as they see the OG frantically trying to wake up the younger Saiyajin that had passed out in his arms. Celipa moans, "Oh Cammy, my baby." Ruby pats her friend's back comfortingly. The devil scowls darkly, she obviously hasn't been feeding herself right. It's not healthy to eat only eggs and pancakes for a week. Maybe a ninjin could get away with it but definitely not a Saiyajin. Ruby mutters, if only your son had at least cooked for her once in a while. Vegeta raises his eyebrows and demands, why is he always my son when he does something bad? His mate yells in reply, because he gets all his bad traits from you. He does not. Interrupting the two bickering royals, Celipa stands up and yells, that's it. I can't take this anymore. I'm going there to help her. The queen grabs the back of her armor just as she is about to stomp out of the office and says, Chelly. Don't be ridiculous. There's nothing we can do. The only dead people that can go to the mortal world are the angels. At this all three pause and look at each other gleefully with the same idea in their minds. Ruby asks, Veggie, can we go and get Bardock-san from heaven? Vegeta purses his lips and sighs, there's no way we can get up to the angels sector. The only time I can ever see him is at our meeting place by the palace. Celipa says determinedly, well then let's go up there and hope for his sake that he's up there too. Peering up into the empty bottle, a certain angel is making do with the last drop of his sake and tosses away the bottle over his head. Bardock hiccups and reaches for another bottle by his side, but accidentally knocks it over. He mutters, oh drat, and saves it before all the sake goes to waste. Downing the intoxicating drink once again, his face gets even more flushed from his drunken state. Then a familiar voice says, Bardock. What the hell are you doing? The angel lazily looks for the source of the voice and sees three figures standing over to the right of him. Bardock smiles lopsidedly when he recognizes them and says, oh I'm just having a lil drink. Turns out that I can't get good in what was it? Drunk. I can't get drunk in heaven so I came here to just myself that way and then I can forget everything. He holds out his bottle to Vegeta and hiccups, want some? Frowning, the OU tries to grab it away from him, but the angel is too quick to snatch it back. Bardock says, too bad. Only us angels can have it. And I'm going to be one forever. 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 He suddenly flops onto his back and starts laughing maniacally, caught somewhere in between sobbing and laughing at his whole situation. Vegeta sweet drops, are you okay? The angel stops laughing immediately and throws the bottle of sake at the OU, screeching, of course I'm not okay. What do you think you old coot? Vegeta easily catches the porcelain bottle and casts a worried glance to his mate, who reflects it back right at him. Ruby says calmly, look, Bardock-san, we just came here to tell you that there's some trouble in the mortal world. Ignoring her completely, Bardock pours some sake onto the fluffy ground from yet another bottle that he has, watching the milky white liquid flow from the top. He mutters almost incomprehensibly, isn't it so weird how everything from heaven is white? Everything is white. I bet Willith even pisses white. Celipa, already burning red with embarrassment, turns onto the angel in a fury. Bardockko. Can't you even listen to your queen? She's trying to tell you that our child's in trouble. Bardock rolls his head up to face his mate and frowns, what? What are ya talking about? Celipa seethes, our baby's in trouble. And all you can do is just sit there getting yourself more drunk. The angel smiles, that's not a bad idea, reaching for a different bottle. His mate snatches it away from his grasp and Bardock protests, oh come on, I'm sure Raditz is fine in hell. Narrowing her eyes, Celipa hisses, I meant our other baby. The one that's down on earth. Kakarot. Bardock's eyes widen and he unsteadily stands up, leaning himself against the wall of the palace. He growls, you mean, that Bakayaro no Oji is harassing her again. He stumbles towards the edge of the cloud and yells, I'll show him. I'll electrocute him 1,000 times if I have to. Vegeta grabs the angel's robe and yelps, no. That's not what we mean. He pauses. What do you mean electrocute him? You've done it before. Bardock yells, and I'll do it again if I have to. Now let go. The angel tries to escape from the Vegeta's hold, but the OU doesn't give way and tightens his grip around the white satin cloth. Bardock whines, oh come on. It doesn't hurt him that much. Vegeta narrows his eyes and yells, "That's it. I've had it with your behavior." He throws the angel onto the ground and Bardock winces, rubbing his bottom. "Aye. That hurt." The OU neatly slaps him across the face and yells, "Shut up. You are in the presence of your king. Now stand up and pay attention like any other soldier." Wide-eyed, the Saiyajin does as he says, saluting him, and the OU continues, much more calmly this time, "Barudoko. Your daughter has passed out from food exhaustion and is in danger of dying. Now I am ordering you to go down to earth and use all your power to save her." Bardock says nervously, "Yes, sir." Ruby frowns, then looks down into her bag, brightening when she finds a small vial filled with some transparent amber liquid. She quickly goes over to the two male Saiyajin and says, "Here, this should help Bardock back to his senses. Just a drop should do." She carefully holds the vial above the angel's head until a droplet escapes the vial and lands upon the Saiyajin's head. Both Celipa and Vegeta watch him questioningly. At once Bardock's flushed appearance almost disappears, yet there is still a faint line of red across his cheeks. Then he suddenly moans and clutches at his head, in pain. "Oh Cammy. My head." Ruby smirks, "That was why I didn't think of it before. You may be relieved of your drunken state, but you get the hangover of a lifetime, or afterlife time." The angel winces, "Well, you could have warned me. Does anybody have an Alka-Seltzer?" Celipa just smacks him upside the head. Bardock yelps, "Hey, ow, what was that for?" Vegeta gently places the unconscious Saiyajin down onto his bed and sits on the edge of the mattress, feelings of nausea threatening to make him join the female Saiyajin in her state of unconsciousness. He didn't know what the hell to do. In times of crisis, he was always cool and collected, prepared for any situation with a steadfast plan. But never in times of peace had he even thought of what to do in case the younger Saiyajin just passes out for absolutely no reason. Frustration and anger at his predicament are wearing down his already strained nerves. He mentally slaps himself and thinks, "Come on. Quit feeling sorry for yourself. Just think. There has to be some way to help her." The OG feels for the younger Saiyajin's ki and starts to panic when he feels it lowering even more. "Cammy. No." He rushes over to her side and takes her shoulders, trying once again to shake her awake. "Come on. This is no way to go." However, she just hangs limply in his grasp. Panic rises in his chest and he yells, "Temmie. I refuse to let you go like this." He tries to figure out some way to feed energy into her so that she can last longer until he can figure out what to do. He remembers the CPR classes that Bulma forced him to take and how Goku can use energy donated from other beings. Applying the two together, he channels his ki into his palm and a small glowing orb forms. Vegeta mutters, "Here goes nothing." He puts the hot little orb into his mouth and leans over Goku, ready to spit it into her own open mouth. Vegeta looks at her hesitantly, wondering whether this is such a good idea or not. Then the little ki really starts to burn and without another hesitation he presses his lips to hers and breathes the orb into her mouth. He instantly checks her ki and to his relief he feels her ki rise just a little bit. However, he can already feel it start to dwindle away. No longer reluctant, he channels more ki into his palm, making sure that it's small enough for the younger Saiyajin to swallow and repeats the process. But the progress is so slow, and he has to go quickly so that all his effort won't wither away with the rest of her energy. Soon he realizes what a wasted effort it is, but the OG absolutely refuses to give up. He decides a different approach and channels his energy into his mouth rather than his palm so that he can donate to the other Saiyajin more efficiently. Once again he presses his lips against her warm ones, his ki flowing into her like the golden breath of life. Which is pretty much what it is. That's when Bardock makes his appearance. Still recovering from his major hangover, the angel comes upon the two Saiyajins right when Vegeta has his lips pressed against Goku's. Bardock's eyes widen in shock then immediately narrow into little slits and he goes SSJ. Vegeta's eyes bulge out when he feels the enormous energy and slowly turns around to see the Super Saiyajin angel towering above him, glowering with an unimaginable rage. Bardock says slowly, "Kasama. How dare you? How dare you take advantage of her in this state?" And with this he blasts into SSJ2 for the first time, filling the entire room with a blinding light. Vegeta yelps, "But I wasn't." Not listening to him at all, the SSJ2 angel lashes out at him and knocks him unconscious. Then he boots the poor OG out of the window out into the open sky. His hangover completely forgotten, Bardock breathes heavily, the transformation taking a toll on him. He slips out of his SSJ form, his hair and eyes fading into black. The angel turns his attention to his daughter, still unconscious and unharmed from his change. Bardock makes a small smile and slowly chants a holy hymn. Goku's pale appearance is replaced by her usual complexion, and her haphazard breathing is down to calm slow breaths. Convinced that she'll be fine from here, Bardock decides not to take any more time in case anyone willeth is keeping tabs on him and finds this activity to be somewhat suspicious. He plucks a feather from his wing and places it in her open hand. Then he gives his peacefully resting daughter a kiss on the forehead, before he fades away into a golden haze. The smoke blows away, out of the window the angel just threw Vegeta out of. All that remains in the room is Goku, sleeping soundly, clutching a long soft white feather in her grasp. By the edge of the Mediterranean Sea, the gulls are swooping over the water and the beach, constantly searching for scraps of food left over by the tourists who come to the Sicilian shores every day in the hot Roman summer, to view the beautiful cerulean waters from the high-standing cliffs. A big gray gull perches itself on the high plateau, overlooking the sea, and ruffles its feathers, making itself look bigger to the other gulls. Suddenly a white-gloved hand comes up the cliff and grasps the rock right next to the bird, making it fly away screeching with fright. Another hand comes up and pulls the rest of the body up, revealing a completely soaked to the bone Saiyajin no Oji. Even his usually gravity-defiant hair is down around his head and face from the weight of the water. Wheezing for breath, Vegeta pulls himself onto the cliff edge, and lies down on his back, trying to gulp down some much-needed air. Oblivious to the bystanders watching around him, the Oji brings himself up to a sitting position and shakes the water off of him like a dog, and his hair puffs up to its usual flame-like appearance, if not a bit more messy. He looks around at the tourists watching him in wonder and snaps, "What are you looking at?" Even if they didn't know English, they could understand his threatening tone and they hurriedly scamper away. Except for a Japanese couple who decide to take a picture of the Oji before running away as well. Vegeta growls in annoyance and stands up, looking around at his surroundings. He isn't quite sure what happened, so he tries to collect his thoughts together. I remember trying to rescue Kakarot. Then there was that huge light. Wait a sec. That was her father. Bardock. The Oji burns red with embarrassment as he recalls how he was so easily attacked, and then he figures that Bardock must have had something to do with his waking up in the middle of the Italian Sea. He clenches his fist and growls, "Kuso. That baka angel. I don't care what he says about not getting close to Kakarot anymore. I won't stand for this treatment." He screams in fury up at the clear blue sky, "Do you hear me, you wretched good-for-nothing angel? I don't care about your protectiveness. I'll do whatever I want with Kakarot. Do you hear me? Whatever I want." Then a whitish-gray blob falls from the sky, right onto his face, and Vegeta yelps, bringing a hand to the targeted area. He touches the white substance and looks up at the sky. A whole flock of seagulls is flying right above him. The Oji says with disbelief, "They crapped on me." He suddenly bellows with rage and starts to blast the birds. "How dare you, you little scumbags!" The seagulls scatter from the cliff side to escape the temporarily insane Oji, but he just follows them up into the sky, blasting away, "I'll show you. I'll teach you never to crap on a prince ever again." All the meanwhile the same Japanese couple that saw him before is snapping away pictures of the elevating Oji on their expensive digital camera. The thin husband turns to his wife and says in Japanese, "I can't wait until we show these to Tucson. He'll never believe it." Flashback, Vegeta clenches his fist and growls, "Kuso. That baka angel. I don't care what he says about not getting close to Kakarot anymore. I won't stand for this treatment." He screams in fury up at the clear blue sky, "Do you hear me, you wretched good-for-nothing angel? I don't care about your protectiveness. I'll do whatever I want with Kakarot. Do you hear me? Whatever I want." End flashback, the words of his vow still ringing in his ears. Vegeta lands in the front yard of Capsule Corp already tinted red with the setting sun. He sighs and sorely walks back into his mansion, relaying the words in his mind. The whole thing doesn't settle too well with his stomach and a nervous feeling arises from his gut. Do what exactly? Walking up the stairs, he starts peeling off his brine-encrusted shirt and drops it into the wooden hamper on the way over to the shower. With all the dried salt and the seagull crap, his germ phobia is going to need a nice long, hot shower to be satisfied with his cleanliness. Not that he minded. On the way he stops over by his room and sees, to his annoyance, that the younger Saiyajin is still sleeping in his bed. He shrugs it off. Oh well, no doubt Bardock took care of her, even though she would have been fine with just the Oji's help. He spots a long slick feather in her hand, confirming his deduction. For reasons unknown to him he shivers, despite the temperature being very warm in the house. He heads into the bathroom connected over to his bedroom, intent on taking his shower in there, Goku or not. But if she decides to wake up while he's in there and without even knocking, walks inside, he is going to be one severely pissed off OG. Well, that didn't happen. After staying a good 2 hours in the shower and successfully turning himself into an OG prune, Vegeta comes out and finds Goku still sleeping quietly in his bed. The sun had already set, and a bluish-white beams flow into the room coming from the mere sliver of a moon. The light beams land upon her peaceful visage and highlight all her delicate curves, making her look like a Saiyajin goddess. The OG's eyes glaze over and he whispers, "Cammy. So beautiful." He subconsciously starts to tread slowly towards her, his hand reaching out in longing. Suddenly a humongous explosion interrupts the OG's trance, and he rushes to the window to see two cars had collided together right on the street and are the verge of erupting into flame. Then the shock hits him full force, leaving him dizzy and lightheaded. What the hell was he doing? He had to be in some sort of spell or something. Attracted to Goku like a moth would be to a light. Only, he has to remember, Goku's a bug lamp. If it hadn't been for that explosion. Suddenly Vegeta feels a tremendous respect for drunk drivers. Nerve shot, Vegeta decides he better put Goku into her own bedroom for the night. Gently picking her up from his satin sheets, so as not to wake her, Vegeta quietly carries her to her room. He places the younger Saiyajin in her own bed and pulls the light comforter over her. He steals a shy glance at her and to his relief, no longer sees the beautiful goddess that was so exquisitely displayed in the moonlight. Instead he notices a little trail of drool coming from her mouth. Rolling his eyes, he uses the blanket to wipe it off and pulls the feather from her fingers and puts it on her bedstand. Goku rolls over in her sleep onto her side and curls into a comfortable fetal position. A ghost of a smile graces the OG's lips and he finds the key to Goku's bedroom door. He exits into the dim hallway and locks the door, then jutting the key under the wooden board into Goku's room. Sure, he could break down the door, but hey, he felt a little safer. Tired and worn, Vegeta flops onto his used queen-sized and plants his face onto his pillow. He curses himself for even thinking about taking advantage of Goku when she's unconscious. His eyes pop open and thinks, what the hell? I should be disgusted for being attracted to her at all. She's my rival. My most hated enemy. Okay, maybe Yamcha's worse. But still, how could I be attracted to such a beautiful, kind? He just stops trying to think once he realizes where his train of thought is going. Sitting up onto his knees, he smacks his head against the wall a good 50 times. After giving himself a very bad migraine, Vegeta figures he better think about something else while trying to get to sleep. He quickly decides that as soon as he's awake the next day, he'll find some way to eradicate all the seagulls on his planet. Oh yeah, and figure out how he's going to exact revenge against a certain Saiyajin angel. And figure out what the hell was wrong with Goku in the first place. Sighing, the OG takes a long breath and leans more into his pillow to sleep. He smells the deep musky scent of the shampoo and smiles at its familiarity and takes an even longer breath to take in the raw scent. Suddenly he bolts up from the bed. Wait a sec. His shampoo doesn't smell like musk plant. He pulls down a strand of his gravity-defiant hair and smells it. It's the damned lavender and watermelon kind. The kind Bulma always gets for him because he hates it. Then what about? All the color drains from the OG's face as he recognizes what it is. Goku's scent. It's still lingering on the bed even though he moved her already. He shudders when he realizes that he actually enjoyed the smell and reveled it. He mutters, "Oh Cammy, when did I get so perverted?" He grabs the sheets and pulls the pillowcases off of his pillows and brings them all downstairs to wash them. Problem is he doesn't know how the hell to use a washer. And he doesn't have any other sheets to use either. So it's either sleep with Goku-scented sheets or attempt to wash them. Down in the basement, Vegeta, the great and powerful Saiyajin no OG, stares at the small washer completely and utterly stumped at how to use it. He groans in defeat, "I am not going to get any sleep tonight," and tries to decipher the foreign ninja symbols. Bardock glares out the window of the Angel headquarters hatefully. The sun is bright, again. This just tips the Angel's annoyance into anger. A cool breeze is blowing, again. Bardock can just feel his anger starting to accumulate. The sky is cloudless. Again. He turns redder and redder by the second. Willith is out harassing people with his goons, again. I can't take this anymore. Turning SSJ2, Bardock stomps towards the door, cursing the most obscene profanities known on this side of the galaxy. Staring in shock, the instructor and fellow students watch the angel storm out of the room, only for Bardock to come right back in to sit back in his seat and write something down on the golden paper that was given to him before, and he gets up, slaps the paper into the instructor's hands, then storms out just as angry as he was before. The instructor blinks in surprise and turns back to his students and snaps, "What are you looking at? Get back to your tests." The students quickly turn their attention from the door back to their papers. Shaking his head, the teacher looks down at the Saiyajin's paper, only to sweat drop. Bardock just got 110% on his anger management final test. Groaning, the teacher thinks, "I don't know whether I should expel that Saiyajin or make him valedictorian." A couple of the telepathic students snicker. Quapac sighs, playing around with his model of the spell on the cursed Saiyajin on Earth, his eyes drooping off once again. The other scientists working on the project look over his direction and begin to chuckle. Obviously dozing off on the job is commonplace for Quapac. The fuzzy alien rests his huge round head in the palm of his hand, his head slowly nodding. Suddenly his head slips from his hand and smacks his keyboard, hard. He immediately wakes up and yelps, "I'm up. I'm up." The whole room bursts into uproarious laughter. Quapac blushes furiously and turns back to his screen, intent on not falling asleep anytime soon. He moves around his mouse, only to find that the whole entire screen is frozen. He tries pressing the buttons to see if there is a reaction. Nothing. Then he tries to turn off his console, but again it comes to no avail. The angel curses and says shyly, Can somebody help me out? I think I have a problem." Sighing, the team supervisor, the blue-skinned alien that is right under Willith, comes over to Quapac's station, looking quite annoyed. "What did you do this time?" Quapac meekly points to his screen, and the supervisor glances down at it, only to do a double take. He moves in front of the screen and uses the computer with ease, as if it wasn't broken at all. Quapac glares at it furiously, waiting for the supervisor to reprimand him for wasting time. Only the head angel doesn't do that. Instead he turns onto the fuzzball alien with big teary eyes and says happily, "Quapac. You little rascal. I can't believe it. You've found the link." Quapac blinks, "I did. Oh right. I did. What did I find exactly?" Other angels flock over to the little angel's station to come and look at the screen. The blue-skinned supervisor says excitedly, "Quapac, you've just found the root of the foundation of the spell." He points to the core, a fifth dimensional composed of nothing but what seems like thread-thin spikes, constantly shifting in a million different directions at once. Quapac is hardly able to contain his awe. But at once the supervisor's eyes narrow scrutinizingly at the screen. Then he stands up and faces the other angels who have gathered around. In a solemn tone he asks, "Has anyone here ever heard of Guillermo?" The group looks among themselves curiously. Seeing no one being able to answer, the blue-skinned angel continues, "Guillermo is a spell foundation that was strictly forbidden for any angel's use. It has been that way for millions of years." One angel says jokingly, "Gee, we didn't think you were that old." With that the other angels laugh collectively. The supervisor glares at them, silencing them immediately. He growls, "The only reason that I know about it is because I actually studied about the ancient spells, unlike anyone else here it seems." He points to the spiky mass on Quapac's screen and demands, "Do you know why this was banned?" Silence reigns, so the supervisor continues, "Because it's the most dangerous, unpredictable, spontaneous and sinful spell that is known on the face of this heaven. Only a true genius could even hope to handle it correctly. It's a miracle that the Saiyajin the spell was put on is still even alive." Quapac stares at the screen and asks quietly, "Sir, if it was one of the angels that used it, then what would their punishment be?" The blue-skinned angel answers, "Banishment to hell for sure. No questions asked." He begins a new round of orders, giving each team member a new assignment. Quapac doesn't pay attention to it as he wanders into his own thoughts, banishment to hell. Well, I know a certain angel that would love to hear this. Hopefully it'll make up for my half-betrayal before. Suddenly a hand lands on his shoulder and he jerks up, shaken by the sudden contact. He looks up to see the supervisor hovering over him. The head angel says warmly, "All right, little guy. How about you take a break? You deserve it, I think. I'll make sure that you get rewarded for it later." The little fuzzball angel nods and hops out of his chair going off in search of his Saiyajin friend. Just as he's making his way into the Metallium corridor, he suddenly stops, an idea hitting him. He bites his bottom lip in glee as he goes over his master plan. Then a familiar key heads over his way and Quapac immediately recognizes it to be the angel he was just looking for. Still blazing SSJ2, Bardock storms down the hall, almost not noticing his little friend, until Quapac has to grab his pant legs himself. The Saiyajin looks down and blinks. Quapac, what are you doing here? I thought you were working on that spell. His friend grins, yeah, but they let me have a break. Bardock smiles, I don't know why they'd give you a break. All you ever do is sleep anyway. He points a thumb over his shoulder to the direction he was heading and asks, hey, since you're not doing anything, do you want to help corrupt the weather control center with me? Quapac pales under his brown fur, but Bardock. You'll get in real big trouble for that. The taller angel frowns, so. His friend just sighs and says, whatever. Sorry, but I have something to do. Shrugging, Bardock says, suit yourself. See ya. He resumes his march, although considerably quieter this time. Grinning with glee, Quapac heads for the main entrance of the Angel headquarters, going over his perfect plan once more. I can't believe it. I'm such a genius. All I have to do is frame Bardock for being the one who made the spell. And then Lilith won't have any say in it at all. And then Bardock can go down to hell like he wants. Ha ha ha. I guess I was naturally smart, wasn't I? Suddenly he runs smack dab into a wall. The little angel shakes his head and punches the wall. Hey. Watch where you're going. He turns to the left, still grinning like an idiot. Thank you for watching. What If Goku Was a Girl Part 2. Hope you like my video. Please subscribe, like and share Roranoa TV for more fanfiction crossover videos.